Hello everybody, I am Dr. Alamelu Mangai. Let I introduce this session with a question. Can a food service institution survive only with experience in today's competitive environment? If you answer no, then you should remember that there is always something more to know for any organization to progress continuously. Training is the means to achieve this. I am sure that by the end of this session, you will be able to understand the process of training and its outcome, and you will gain knowledge on the various types of training programs. Before you understand the process and the types of training, it is very important to know the purpose and need of training. The purpose of training is to make aware of the employees on the functioning of the organizations, its rules, regulations, procedures, policies, and the do's and don'ts. The training is to develop a positive improvement in technical and manual skill. Also, the purpose of training program is to mold the attitude of workers towards others and to create responsibility and interest. With regard to the need of training, you should understand that it is an essential part in managing an organization, and it is needed for specifying the job requirements to meet the organizational objectives, disseminate the knowledge of technological advancement, maintain good and effective human relations, and above all, help the employee to get to know the changes in his job assignment and also the transformational process of organization. What are the objectives of training? A good training program in an organization, especially like food service operation, will improve the employee efficiency in performance and production. It will ensure smooth functioning of the operation in the facility, help to motivate the employees to fulfill the organizational aspirations, and finally, to avoid obsolescence. Let us move on to the advantages of training. First, let us understand the benefits of training with regard to organization. Training enables quick learning. An acceptable level of performance can be obtained within a short interval of time. Higher productivity. By increasing the skill during training, you can increase work output both in quality and quantity. Standardization of procedures. Training enables to standardize the best available methods of performing a job. Less supervision. Since the employee becomes self-reliant after a training program, there is a less requirement for supervision. Economic operations. When training is imparted by the organization, the employee will be known of using the materials and equipments in economic way, thereby reducing the rates of accidents and minimizes the damage to machinery, leading to less cost of production per unit. Higher morale. Better cooperation and greater loyalty is achieved, thus building a better work environment. Training also reduces dissatisfaction, complaints, and absenteeism. Preparation of future manager. A good training program enables to identify a promising employee and makes him eligible for future promotion and job competencies. With regard to the benefits of training for the employees. Confidence. Employee can achieve a positive correlation between skills and the job in the training, which in turn boosts the morale and self-confidence of the employee and gives job satisfaction. New skills. Training helps the employee to increase better work performance as he learns newer work methods and skills. Promotion. Training prepares an employee for self-development and professional growth. Higher earnings. Training makes an employee to gain more remuneration and enhance other monetary benefits. Adaptability. Training develops adaptability among workers whenever new work procedures and methods are changed. Increased safety. Training makes employees more competent in handling machines, thus helping in reducing accidents in the organization. Maintains healthy interpersonal relationships. Training will enable to maintain this and might reduce alienation of workers. Having understood all this, now let us move on to the stepwise process of a training program. Understanding the organizational objectives and the strategies, the first stage of a training program is assessment of training need. Then development of training design, imparting training program, and finally evaluation of the training. With regard to the assessment of training needs, which can be carried out by three means: organizational analysis, KSA analysis, and person analysis. Organizational analysis. Irrespective of the type and the structure of the organization, you have to plan whether to hold a short-term or a long-term training. Before commencing training, you have to assess the knowledge, skills, and attitudes of the employees so that you will know what kind of job can be performed and the type of employees who will be able to perform them, which can be done by KSA analysis. The third is person analysis. Here, the ability of the employees to perform the given task and his adaptability to new work challenges are assessed. Person analysis points out a customized training program according to the ability of the employee. Once the training needs is complete, the next stage is that of development of training design. How to plan an appropriate design. For example, in a food service, if the expected sale is 1000 meals and the actual sales are 800, then the gap are 200 meals. What could be the reason for this gap? In case you find the prices are high, then you can decide a course in food cost, pricing, and budgeting. If the gap is due to poor cooking presentation, then plan for a course in cooking skill. Or if it is due to poor or slack service, you have to think of arranging a craft course for the service personnel. Thus, deciding upon the appropriate planning design, the next important stage is imparting the training program. There are many methods to impart training. After fixing the time, venue, and knowing participants' demographics, and depending upon the need of training, you can choose the appropriate method. Broadly, the training methods are classified as internal or on-the-job training, external or off-the-job training. Internal or on-the-job training. The methods included in on-the-job training are orientation or induction training, apprenticeship, delegation, promotion and transfer, refresher training or retraining, vestibule training, job rotation, creation of assistant to positions, and committee or board membership. Let us understand the methods one by one. First, orientation or induction training. Now, you imagine you are a newly appointed executive of a housekeeping department of a reputed hotel. What would you expect to know from the organization? For sure, you would like to know the rules, regulations, policies, the facts, the organizational structure, information on the needs, and other facilities available. For this, the organization conduct orientation or induction. What is it you are going to receive? You may have to report earlier to the hotel on the first day, say at 8:30 a.m. From 9 to 9:30 a.m., you will be meeting the general manager where he welcomes the new recruits, shakes hand and gives a speech. Then, you are introduced about the hotel by slide presentation for half an hour. After which, you have induction by superiors who takes you around the hotel and introduces other departments. Probably after lunch break, you will attend an interactive session with the security manager who will orient you on the fire safety. Feeling this conducive atmosphere, you can be ready to face the challenges ahead. Apprenticeship training. This is the oldest form of training where the worker is placed under a qualified senior worker. The trainees receive wages during learning and acquire skills. The next type is delegation. In this form of training, the superior entrusts certain responsibility and delegates authority in equal measure so that the trainees will be allowed to take own decision and exhibit their leadership skill. He may attain a sense of accomplishment when he finishes his given task successfully. The next type is promotions and transfer. The employee who are entitled for a promotion are given training in a specified job. It is found risky in case the employee who may fail to perform well during the training period. Whereas the refresher training, as the name implies, you might understand that this type of training is meant for the older employees. This enables to relearn the forgotten and to update the knowledge with a rapid change in the technology. The next is the vestibule training. Similar to actual work conditions, an artificial atmosphere is created here to impart training to the new workers on specific skills. This kind of training is very expensive, but the trainees are able to recover initial nervousness before going to the actual job. The next is the job rotation. Training employees one after the other in different departments for a specified period or permitting the employee to observe the work of a different departmental heads is called job rotation. There are other forms of training too, creations of assistant to positions and committee or board membership. What is this creation of assistant to positions? In order to widen the managerial responsibility and outlook of you as a trainee, you will be posted in different departments as assistant. This task will be helped by the superior who assigns duties according to the abilities and skills of the trainees. And the last one is committee or board membership. A committee is a specific type of meeting in which members as a group or delegated authority with regard to a particular problem. The committee should not be too small or long so as to communicate freely and avoid conflict. This method of training is a useful one as it enables members to interact with one another, pool their ideas and experience in solving the organizational problems. Now, let us discuss the different techniques of external or off-the-job training. The methods included here are training by management institutions, lectures, conferences, case studies, role play, management game, brainstorming, sensitivity training, assertiveness training, and transactional analysis. Training by management institution. A number of institutions have gained growth since independence in imparting technical and other necessary training in the respective fields. The trainer can utilize these institutions to train their employees based upon the need. The next method is lectures, conferences, seminars, etc. How does this contribute to the training methods? Lectures develop the analytical abilities among the workers. Conferences provide the opportunities to interchange the views among the employees of different organizations. And conducting seminars and workshops time to time in an organization will keep on help in training the employees. The next method is case study. Case study enables the trainees to pinpoint the problems, to identify and analyze the causes of the problems, and to suggest alternative solutions to these problems and indicate the best alternatives that is suiting the current situation. The next is role play. An artificial conflict situation is constructed and two or more trainees are allowed to interact. This kind of training is used in human relations and leadership training. Knowledge of results is immediate as the trainees and the listeners analyze the behavior of the role players. The next is management games. You would have understood that the role play emphasizes on feeling and relationships between people, but the management games are concerned with administrative problems. As a group, decisions of the various situations are taken. The next external type of training is brainstorming. It is a problem-solving technique that consists of evaluation of ideas that is put forward by a group who are convened specially for this purpose. The ideas emerged are not used for decision making on the spot. This allows free flow of bold and unconventional ideas. A written note of the ideas is made and put forward in the meeting, and participants have the feeling of having contributed to decision making. The next type of external training is sensitivity training, which is also known as T-group training. This helps the participants to understand how groups actually work and give them a chance to discover how they are interpreted by others. The trainer acts as a catalyst or facilitator who starts the session by inducing discussion among member trainees. As the group is unstructured, people are motivated to bring their feelings out in open, which can be analyzed and dealt spontaneously. The next type of training is assertiveness training. Assertiveness training seeks to teach people an alternative set of behaviors in conflict situation. An assertive person expresses his feeling without hindrance and expresses appreciation for desirable behavior to others and likes to get appreciated. And this type of analysis is very simple. The last type in the off-the-job training is yet another method of training to develop interactive and communicative skills, which is the transactional analysis. Transaction analysis is a means to know why people are, what they are, why they do, what they do. It consists of important elements such as psychological positions or ego states, transaction, life script, life positions and stroking. Let us understand what this psychological positions or ego state is. Normally, people interact with one another using any one of the three ego states, namely parent, adult and child, that reflect only the psychological stage and not the chronological stage. Parent ego state person is protective, distant, dogmatic and controlling, whereas the adult ego state person is rational, who is seeking, giving and calmly analyzing information or estimating the probabilities. The child ego state, a person thinks, feels and acts in the same way as when he was a child. This person is impulsive, creative and emotionally worked up. The next element is transaction. During transaction between two persons, namely a manager and his subordinate, a manager can act in the parent ego and the subordinate can reply in child's ego, and this is said to be open transaction. In blocked transaction, the manager and the subordinate speak as adult and adult ego. In the ulterior transaction, the manager can be a child and subordinate can be in the parent or adult ego state, and hence the messages can be concealed. Life script. A script is the next text of a person's part in any play, which is generally based on his childhood experiences and adopts his life position in relation to others. The other important element that you need to understand is life positions. There are 4 basic life positions, namely I am okay, you are not okay, I am not okay, you are okay, I am not okay, you are not okay, and I am okay and you are okay. And the desirable position is the last one, as the person following this is of full vigor, protective and peace with himself and the world around him. And here I am denotes manager and you the subordinate. The last element is stroke, that is defined as any act of recognition for another. A stroke may induce a good or bad feeling in the recipient. When a person does not get the required stroke on the job, he may become dissatisfied with his job, which will lead to low productivity, poor human relationship and finally high labor turnover. With this, you should have understood the 2 types of training, that is on the job training and the different types in it, as well with the off the job or external training. The last stage of the training program or the process is evaluation. This is most important from the perspective of evaluation because it is going to show or depict the effectiveness of training. This evaluation is aimed at analyzing whether training was effective in achieving the objective, for example, bridging the competency gap, changing the attitude, developing new skills, etc. There are various ways in which the effectiveness of training program can be evaluated. Evaluation of training can be done through trainees' reaction to the usefulness of coverage of the matter, course content depth, the presentation method and the teaching method, or the evaluation can be based on the quantity and the time of learning, or it can be based on the extent and manner the trainee has applied his learning to perform his job, and it can also be based on increased productivity, quality, increase in morale, sales turnover of the organization. Having seen the processes thoroughly, now what are the qualities of a good trainer? The following are the basic requisites of a good trainer. The first quality that we expect is the appearance. A good trainer should express good attitude, should be very cautious in conveying through body languages, should be self-confident and should be very professional. The next quality expected by him is being patient. The trainer should be calm and efficient in handling unexpected situations during training and should bring clarity in answering the questions to the participants. The most important one is being enthusiastic. The trainer being excited during delivering the correct message, he should be able to be infectious in making the learner to understand the concepts and in imparting training skills. The next quality that is very much attributed is the communication skills. The trainer should always use simple language and should use unruffled voice and communicate in bold tone and should be very clear in delivering his presentation. The next quality is contact. Always the trainer has to maintain eye-to-eye contact during the training program, which will enable or bring closeness between the trainer and the participants. The next expected quality is he should be organized and knowledge based. The trainer should be well prepared for the training in advance so as to meet the individual need of the employee and should be updated in new developments, and also he should willingly share the knowledge gained. And of course, the last quality or the most expected quality of the trainer is having a sense of humor. In order to create a good atmosphere to learn, the trainer should possess this sense of having a good humor. So thus, the qualities are very important for a trainer, especially when he is to train in the food service operations, since the food service operations are in dire need of training then and then in all the 7 functional departments of its organization, and the personnels have the monotonous way of working, and these kinds of training will imbibe a thorough knowledge and practice and will increase the royalty and the loyalty to the organization. Thus, I would like to summarize that training is essential in any kind of organization, and no organization can flourish without training its employees. The benefits of training are numerous, and from time to time, organization should impart training to its personnel for effective functioning, as I said earlier, so as to manage its objectives. Improved performance in this competitive environment can be achieved only through appropriate and effective training. Hope now you have a clear idea of training, and I am sure you in a managerial position will be able to take up the position well in identifying the needs of your employee, plan an appropriate training program, and select the correct method of training in order to improve the work performance. So, work on the exercise and the points to ponder as stated in the next quadrant. Thank you for hearing this session. Have a good day and thank you.